quiet. I got 5 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Start with the routine business. We got the Open Meetings Act posted on the northwest wall as always. And next we need to go ahead and call the roll. Lisa?
Justin?
Yep.
Heather?
Here.
Brad?
Yes.
Kent?
Yes.
All present and accounted for. Join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, everybody. Things are a little different tonight. We need to start off with a public hearing for our budget tax request. So we'll open that at 5:01. It'll remain open for at least 15 or 20 minutes. We can't proceed on with other business until we complete this public hearing. A little different than some of the other hearings we do. I think we'll start off. Lisa's got some comments to kind of lay out.
Yeah, there's a couple of copies of the budget up here. If anybody wants one to look through it, you're welcome to come get one. Basically, the overall budget this year, there's quite a lot of similarities to last year's budget minus the capital improvement projects. We don't actually have a ton of those planned for this year. Of course, we've done several of them over the last 2 or 3 years, and so it's kind of maybe a break here. But at any rate, the proposed property taxes this year are $669,761.30. Last year it was $604,937.48, so it is a bit of an increase. The city's valuation actually went up 15% roughly from a year ago. So our valuation is at 126 million and change. Last year it was 109. The council kind of went through the budget at the workshops and kind of just looking at overall inflation and expenses, cost of living increases for staff, salaries, benefits, our insurance, all the way around. Our medical insurance went up 42%, I believe it was. That's a lot. That's almost $100,000 for the city. On top of that, I think our property insurance went up 26%. So insurance is kind of, we're taking it in the shorts a little bit this year. I think the hope is we're in a different, we're in a higher tier the way our insurance pool works, and so we kind of got the short end of the stick this year. I think the general consensus is that hopefully next year that rate will go back down to, I think they were telling me maybe another 20% down, so that remains to be seen. But at any rate, because of some of those general increases and the fact that we are kind of trying to build back some cash reserve because of our projects that we've been doing, overall the council opted to leave the property tax at 45 cents, which is what it's been for, I don't know, 10 years or more, probably. We did, however, in discussion, because the special levy that was passed in 2022 for the care center, that was a 5-year special levy that took effect in 2023 and will remain until 2028. The ballot language of that was 10 cents at that time, up to 10 cents to create $100,000 roughly. The city was going to put in 100, the county puts in 100 to get it to $1 million over that 5-year period. So through lots of discussion and different discussion with the bond attorneys and the city attorney and the county some, the way the language in the ballot was written, the consensus is that the city does have the authority to reduce that levy as long as we're collecting that $100,000 for the care center. So through those discussions, basically, last year, we did collect the 10 cents per $100 valuation for the care center. This year, because of the 15% increase in the valuation, we can collect over 100,000, it's like 101 and change with an 8-cent levy. So the combined total request is around 53 cents then, with that additional 8 cents. So that's what's being proposed, and that is what is worked into these numbers in the budget. This year's adopted budget, or I shouldn't say adopted budget, proposed budget, basically we are coming in with projected about $5 million in beginning cash balances, and with the budgeted expenses and the revenues on page 2 there, the total overall resources, we have about 8.8 million. I think last year the budget reflected roughly 12.3 million. And those differences really are in those capital improvement projects, because we had a lot of grant funds, loan funds to do those projects that we were bringing in. Of course, we had a lap over in fiscal years versus when those revenues were coming in and when they were expended. So it looks a little wonky on the balance sheet, but that's, I guess, the difference between that 8.8 versus that 12.3. Total disbursements and transfers for this year, we budgeted about 5.8 million. Last year it was 9.2. Again, that's most of those capital projects. So then we're proposing a cash balance at the end of the budget year at about 3 million, which is about what it was a year ago. I think it was 3.1 million. So it's at the end of the day pretty similar there. Like I said, we don't have any major capital improvement projects budgeted this year, so a lot of the way that we did the budgeting was the typical normal operating expenses, general routine maintenance, and then of course a little bit in there in case of an unexpected, disaster or something we're not planning for in terms of the proprietary funds. As far as capital improvements out of the general fund, it's kind of routine maintenance. We've got some things with this building that kind of needs some attention. We have phase 2 yet of the park project is worked in there. We have applied for a grant, so we're hoping that our general cash contribution to that will be low. Hopefully we get that grant. There's some attention, maybe some things that need to be considered at the cabin museum. There's some repairs and some different things that we need to consider, and so some of that is worked into this budget, but otherwise, like I said, there's not a lot of non-routine capital improvements worked in this year. Anybody have anything else that you would like to add?
Yes, I would add, we budget, as Lisa mentioned, you have to budget for what if sometimes. That doesn't mean we will always spend that. I like to look back at 23 versus 24 expenditures. I went through that. In most cases, the projected expenditures for this past fiscal year for most departments are slightly below the previous year. So I think the city's doing a good job of being responsible. Budgets, you have to plan for sometimes a worst case scenario. That doesn't mean we have to spend it. We can, hopefully not. So just wanted to mention that difference between budgets, numbers, and actual expenditures.
And some of our funds too, the way they work, and right or wrong or otherwise, I guess it's the recommendation and how we've done it. A lot of the funds are budgeted as though you're going to spend the whole thing. Of course, that's not the objective of the city to spend all those funds down. We do that so that it gives you the authority should something major come up where, you need access to that. But, and our numbers show from budgets versus actuals, generally speaking, we spend a lot less than what the budget reflects. So we try to be pretty conservative. At the end of the day, you know, we're through the proprietary funds, we run those like a business, so like any other business. You gotta be conservative with your cash so that you can, you know, net at the end. You don't wanna be in the red, which is tough to do when you have a lot of capital improvement projects, and that's when we kind of try to keep an eye on our rates, making sure that the rates are such that they're covering all of those expenses, just like any other business would do. And in terms of the general fund, which is everything funded through the property taxes, typically property taxes, occupation taxes, leases, you know, there's a lot that is under that dome. And so, you know, to maintain the, I guess, the level of services that we have and the things that we offer as amenities in the community, it's tough to manage all of that. We're doing our best, trying to conserve as best we can.
Lisa, did you guys take the auditor's recommendation and spread out some of the staffing costs over the other funds this year?
We actually did not. We talked about it again, and our water, sewer, garbage are gonna be pretty tight this
As it
year.
is.
Water, sewer because of our capital projects, and we haven't raised rates since, I'd have to go back and look, but it's been 5, 6, 7 years.
Has it been that long? I was thinking 3 or 4, but maybe it's been longer.
It's been prior to COVID that we did that. Garbage was a little sooner than that. Garbage was maybe 3 years ago.
We bought that truck.
And the thing that's tough about garbage is just that, you know, we contribute to KBR Solid Waste Transfer Station under that interlocal agreement, which is a separate board. We have a representative on that board, of course, but they raise their rates for tipping, because as tipping fees go up, you know, they have to raise their rates to cover their operating costs, which that hits the garbage fund. So they've raised their rates, I think, the last 2 or 3 years, and we've just kind of been absorbing that. But it's getting pretty tight, and so we didn't want to add more expense into those funds, knowing that we're getting tight there.
I didn't know what your share went up. I think the county's was 7,000 or 8,000 for the year that theirs went up
Ours
with
is
tipping
more.
fee. I thought you had probably more users
We're
than,
56% of their operating budget.
so you probably went up closer to 10 or 11 on your.
And I think the year prior to that, it had been 6 or 7 that it had gone up. So that's, you know, when you're budgeting your 35,000 net, and then suddenly in 2 years, you have a 20 to 25,000 increase that you're not expecting. It's, you know, that can be kind of tough to manage. But we've been keeping an eye on it, and we'll continue to watch that. Of course, we don't want to have to raise rates unless we have to raise rates, so it's just one of those things. But, so no, we actually did not do that with that in mind, so.
But I think the plan is to continue to move that direction. Any other questions or comments from those in attendance?
The other thing I will note, I guess, too, is some of the budget laws changed this year, so like the lid, all of that kind of went away. So it's a kind of a different formula that is used for some of the calculations that the state uses to determine different qualifying events. And with the pink postcard meeting, it's called the joint public hearing meeting. You know, if you exceed your allowable growth percentage by your tax levy request, you have to participate in that meeting and basically justify to the public why you need that much money, why you're asking for that much money. And the city does have to attend that meeting again this year. I think that meeting is scheduled for the 22nd of September, and it will be here because I think the city is the only participant in that meeting this year. And the reason being, of course, we'll get into that on the 22nd, but just primarily that special levy for the care center pretty well just throws us over that threshold. You know, that's another $100,000 that we wouldn't have in our.
That counts though against it? I thought it was just for I thought it looked like you could have raised your levy 30-some thousand, but it was, as you said, whatever, 61 or whatever it was. If you'd raised it 30-some, wouldn't have had to do that. But the growth plus the 2% plus then whatever new growth, which was like 3-something
I
percent was
think
new
you had,
growth.
it was like a $60,000 to $70,000 window, but that 8 cents is $102,000.
Even though that's voter approved,
It still fits in the
The
formula.
overall tax.
even on the second year, even on the subsequent years of that.
That's how the calculation is done. So note to anyone who might be interested in attending that meeting.
You have a date set on
I believe,
It
it
is
said the
20
22nd.
The 22nd.
That's what you told us, it's on
Yeah.
North
And I
Carolina,
think
that's
it-
on Monday.
I think it's gonna be at 6 o'clock.
it, 6 p.m. on the 22nd.
I don't know that she's published that yet, but that's what we discussed.
That'll, I think it'll be good. In the-
Tomatoes will be just about getting rotten about then,
Yeah.
so they can just have the mayor come and put up a little plastic basket or bag
You
up
know,
on
in the
the.
past, it's been a joint meeting, and so a lot of folks are confused about who's involved. And this year, with just us, there shouldn't be any confusion. The people that should come will come, and those that don't need to won't, hopefully.
Right. Anybody else have questions?
Well, hearing none, we're open for 15 minutes. I think that's satisfactory. If anybody was running a little late, they should have had time to get here. So we're going to go ahead and close the hearing at 5:16. And move on to the next item, which is the consent agenda. As always, you can approve all the items in the consent agenda with one motion, or you can consider them separately.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion? Go ahead and call the roll.
Heather? Yes. Brad?
Yes.
Kent?
Yes.
Justin?
Yes.
Motion carried 4-0. Next is the mayor's report and appointments. I had something I was going to mention, and now I forget what it was. Don't have any appointments. Oh, I know, I was going to say we met with the cabin board and discussed, I kind of let them know about my idea that I mentioned, I think, last month, maybe changing some of our boards and how they operate. So asked for their input, told them to think about it, because that was one of the boards that it's set up by ordinance, so this council could change that if they wanted to. So anyway, that was pretty well received. We talked about what they've got going on. But that was the only thing I was going to mention. So we'll move on to our next public hearing, which is to consider a recommendation from the Ainsworth Planning Commission regarding zoning amendment from an R2 to a C1 for the city second part, block 1 of Morrow subdivision, lot 7, block 2, tract 4 in Ainsworth. And tract 2 is block 1 of Morrow subdivision, part of city second edition in Ainsworth, and Morrow subdivision part of city of the second edition, block 1, lot 1 in Ainsworth. So that hearing is opening at 5:19. I think you guys are probably, you folks are all familiar with the request. Do you have any comments, or should we go to the audience for comments?
I can speak to the planning commission maybe a little bit.
Okay.
So the planning commission met a week ago as the kind of the first hearing on this change, and I guess after they kind of discussed it and reviewed it, they heard a little bit of public feedback. I guess there was one individual from the community here, and then Susie was here representing CBI. But at the end of the day, the planning commission, I guess, made the recommendation to go ahead and approve the change. One of the adjoining property owners to the north that was here at the planning commission hearing had indicated that he did not have an issue with the change. And we did receive an email from Mark Kovar representing NDOT, because they would be to the east there, and basically saying that they didn't have any concerns at this time either. The other people that received the letters within the 300 feet radius were Umaros over here that have this building. And of course, the city would be within that 300 feet as well with this property. So that's all that I,
So really, Mark Kovar's comments were the only one, and his comment was that he didn't have any concerns.
yeah, and I did talk to Maros on the phone, and we just kind of discussed what the information was that we had. You know, they, I guess, didn't necessarily object or support, they were kind of neutral on the subject of the phone. I don't know if they have any, if anybody has any.
So the state has this, I call it the hole. It's been there forever.
Has the one.
That's their ground, the state, that's that hole in the corner.
Where those pylons,
Yeah.
where those
The
pylons
posts
are
are
to
just
the
to the
east
east,
of that.
east and, yeah.
Where all the snow gets piled,
Yeah,
They're draining the
that
lawn to
is,
that.
that is the state's.
okay.
Yep. I don't know, no, since Scott's here,
Just
maybe
been
you want to
forever.
speak to what you're kind of wanting to do, or what your timeline is?
Well, so, I mean, we own other parts of that property, and everything, my understanding is all of it is zoned residential at this point, including maybe where the commercial buildings are sitting.
Yes.
Probably doesn't make a whole lot of sense. We did remove the residential property that was there. We just feel that it's, and Susie can jump in here, but we just feel that it's a better commercial site than it would be for a residential site. And so we would like to develop that commercially in some way, which may be us doing it, maybe selling it to somebody else to do it, but that's the plan. And with everything else around it being commercial, it seemed to make sense to us that that's what that would be, for that to be developed in that way.
And I think there were other people, I mean, the gentleman that was here was like, my property's residential, you know, I mean, I think, and then it caused kind of a discussion of maybe we need to look at how everything's zoned, but it is highway, it is commercial, more so than residential, and we're just asking that it be changed. Pardon?
So they must have just made an exemption in the past. with those
Yeah, I
buildings
can't
there.
speak to that, because
That's
that was
all
all
time.
before.
That's been there for years.
What's commercial, I'm trying to think what, this building next door is?
Like when it was the sports shack.
This whole block is
tomorrow when it was
This,
all
this old, like,
residential.
the HHS building now is still residential.
Yeah. I guess it is,
And
am I
actually
right?
into the north, all of that.
78.
Because
This
I-
building is residential too, but it can be, you can have government buildings and residential, but
He must have got permit, put it up, and that was.
I didn't know anything along the highway corridor would have been, well, I guess maybe there's a
Actually,
couple
there's
blocks over here,
still
yeah.
some further to the west that
Yeah.
also are residential, but there's some houses there.
right.
Then we've got some commercial areas along the highway that there's houses there too, so, you know. It's always hard to know what the future decisions can be. And we talked about the, unintended consequences with loans and things, we're trying to do something by the But for the purposes of the hearing, the consideration is the three properties basically. If the, if the council wants to, and the planning commission want to take up the rest of that, that's kind of a separate, it's probably a separate hearing.
Yeah, in bottom line, the planning commission recommended change, that's one, so.
Those would be,
Anybody here wants to
taxes would be better that way. Collected would be better, commercial.
Any other comments on that? I think we'll go ahead and leave the hearing open for at least a few more minutes in case somebody wants to come, and we can come back and vote on that. But I think for now, hearing no other comments, we'll move ahead with some other business, keep things rolling here. Which brings us to old business. First item is to discuss and consider a proposal regarding ownership of the property at 352 North Wilson.
Oh,
Are you ready to do anything, or is that gonna be?
This has been on for a couple of months now, I think, actually. It started with a vacant property registration notice that Cassie had issued them, and they've written back as a result of that, kind of more or less saying that they would like to potentially give the property over or what have you. And so I talked to Michael Schultz today, and he said he has attempted multiple times to contact the property owners and cannot seem to get in contact with them. He's left messages, apparently they haven't called back, so I guess, I don't know if you want him to keep trying, or, if you want to do something different, I guess that's up to you guys.
I think it's still in our best interest to obtain the property. It's sort of adjacent to the city property, so whatever we need to do to, I don't wanna go ahead and vote and take, then they come on back out of it. I don't know if we need to just continue to table it until Michael does get a hold of the property owner and make sure everything's legit and kosher on
Well,
what we need to do.
my other thought was they are, I guess, in violation of their vacant building registers. That's what started the whole thing, so they are still owing other fees for that and have not paid for that, so maybe Kelsey could also follow up.
With that. Since their form of communication is through letter, I thought maybe I can send them another letter since you failed to communicate with the city on the property that you were first wanting to gift us, and you were not responding to our city attorney, then you need to proceed forward and pay the vacant building fine. And see if that kind of puts a stigma on it, and get them to maybe contact us and our attorney and see if we can get something going.
There's something Michael can just send them to sign. Pardon?
So they have responded to you before,
Yes, yes.
so they must have seen something from an attorney and freaked out and didn't want to respond, or?
I'm not sure.
That could be, that's a good.
That seems like
That's fine. I guess I'd just suggest we
the
continue
beginning
to
of
try to
this year, when I
communicate
took
with
over
them.
the vacant building registry, that was one of the old properties that was already on the registry, so that property, along with some others, I issued the first notice of having them pay the fine. And then that's when Steve Sweat wrote me a letter saying they had no financial means for the property and that they would like to just give the city the property. So then I presented that to Lisa and went from there. I guess I wasn't aware that he has been dodging our city attorney's calls. So I can try to issue him another letter to see if we get a response from him that way.
I think we should probably just table it and keep trying.
Okay, we'll just keep working on it.
Yeah, if he wants to get rid of it, he can do it, so. At least just try calling it and say, hey, take this call from Michael.
Do we have to have a motion to table that, or can we just leave it on the agenda?
Guess I'm not sure the proper legality there. We've been tabled.
I'll make a motion to table regarding ownership of property at 352 North Wilson.
Oh, have a second, motion a second. Any discussion? Go ahead. Call the roll.
Brad?
Yes.
Kent?
Yes.
Dustin?
Yes.
Heather?
Just like to get it.
Motion carried unanimously.
And then, but we need the space, it's not that big.
Let's go ahead and discuss and consider the potential amendments to, oh, wait a minute, let's not do that quite yet. I'm gonna go, is there anybody here to talk about, for the public hearing on the planning commission recommendation?
Which one?
Hearing
We're going
none.
back to this one.
I'm gonna go ahead and close the public hearing at 5:30. And if you guys would like to take some action, you'd be welcome to. Oh, we got it later. Okay, never mind. The hearing's closed though. Next, let's discuss and consider potential amendments to the city ordinance regarding UTV operation. I think we're not necessarily ready to do anything. Kelsey's gathered some information, you guys probably saw it in your report. I think there's still enough questions to look into things that we don't have anything, final proposal yet, so I guess we should probably just table this, and maybe next month or so we'll have something that we can act on.
Looking at your report, it doesn't look like you found many places that are different than sunrise to sunset.
No, and that all goes back to the Nebraska state statute, with the UTV operations, is from sunrise to sunset.
So remind me again, you got a side-by-side, you gotta have a flag, you gotta have insurance, you come get a permit at the city, and you're good to go, but not on highways.
Across the highway.
It's actually a state statute, you can't drive them, even if they're registered in the city, you still can't drive them on the highways.
But you can cross it, reading that
but you
statute,
can't
as long
drive
as it's not like a
down Main
4-lane.
Street. You can't drive down
highway.
Highway 20.
So, and you have no jurisdiction to, if you see someone on the highway, that's not our purview, because I just thought I'd make an interesting observation. I stopped to see you, after lunch, I'm heading back to work, and one ATV comes, or side-by-side comes up, pulls down the highway for about 5 blocks, turns and goes down Main Street. It did have a flag. While going down Main Street, it and I met another side-by-side coming the other way down Main Street, headed north. And then when I got to my location of destination, another ATV came up from the side, turned and went down the Main Street, and did not have a flag, so. 8 blocks, 3 of them. So.
But who's counting?
There was a little bit of irony, I just gotta say. So, but that's not our issue then, that's.
No, and technically speaking, any kind of
Okay.
vehicle, illegal vehicle operation like
Right.
that is kind of under purview.
Which I'm not making light of, if the state says it's a no-go, it shouldn't be a go, with trucks and other things, but maybe a reminder to folks that they're not legal on the highway.
Yeah.
And they're not legal after dark, according to the state.
They're what?
Not legal after dark, according to the state. It's kind of new one for me, so.
Yeah, so I guess I'd recommend we table that. Probably next month we'll have something to act on.
I'll make a motion to table potential amendments to the city ordinances regarding UTV operation.
Second.
Motion and second, any other discussion? Call roll.
Kent,
Yes.
Justin,
Yes.
Heather,
Yes.
Brad.
Yes.
Motion table carried unanimously. Moving on to the regular agenda. First item is to consider approval of ordinance number 1564 to adopt the 25-26 budget. Again, this is to adopt the budget, not the
Right.
levy.
Yeah, the tax request will be done following the joint public hearing on the 22nd. This is just the budget statement.
I'll move it, but how much of this do you want me to read?
I think you can just read it by title.
Just, I move that we approve ordinance 1564. to adopt the 25-26 budget.
Second.
And wait, that's rereading.
Oh, and to waive the three readings required.
Still want to say that?
Yeah, second.
Motion and a second to adopt the ordinance and waive the 3 readings. Any other discussion?
It's up to you, you'll have 3 more meetings for the first.
So I call roll?
Dustin,
Yes.
Heather,
Yes.
Brad,
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimously. Next item is to discuss and consider zoning amendment for specified properties from R2 to C1. Obviously, these are the properties we just discussed in the public hearing. This would be the action to change that zone.
I'll make a motion to amend, let's see, where are we at now? To amend the specification property listed above from an R2 to a C1 district. City second, part 1, or block 1 of Morrison subdivision of lot 7, block 2, tract 4, Ainsworth. Tract 2, block 1 of Marl subdivision of part of City 2nd Edition, Ainsworth. Marl subdivision of part City 2nd Edition, block 1, lot 1, Ainsworth.
Second. Motion and a second. Any other discussion? Go ahead, call roll.
Heather,
Yes.
Brad,
Yes.
Kent,
Yes.
Dustin.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously. Next item is to discuss and consider special fireworks permit. Kathy Worrell's here. About that.
I'm here representing the Ainsworth Commercial Club, and our goal is to try and bring back the Christmas City of the Sandhills. And we're trying to bring more events back to the community that are family oriented. And what we are asking to do is on Sunday, December 14th, this is all negotiable yet, we have a meeting tomorrow night actually, but our goal is on the 14th, we want to try and do a Christmas light parade at 6 o'clock. After the parade, we want to set off some fireworks, which will kick off our Christmas of the City Sandhill search that we did last year for the first time. And the old Grinch up there was driving around on his motorcycle, so he knows what it was all about. But we had yards picked out, and we had certain designs. People had to drive around and find a list of things we had written down. And we had so much fun doing it, and I think the families had just as much fun. And I had calls afterwards, people wanting me to email them our list because the kids are coming home for Christmas, and they're going to go out and make the kids look for this stuff. So we just thought setting off the fireworks would give it a little, we're starting, and then we go to the ambulance barn and have hot cocoa for people who are involved. And we had a really good turnout last year, and we're going to throw a couple twists in this year and make it harder yet. They're going to have to listen to the radio break for clues. Yeah. So
Ann
that,
doesn't have any part of that, I'm sure.
Yeah. Get a special donation from the radio.
so anyway, that's the one reason is basically to see if we can have a special permit to light fireworks at night. Either Snack Bar or Troy Broadbeck will be setting them off. And I guess the other request would be is, some people think if it's a blizzard, it'd be neat to shoot them off, but I don't know if we could see them. So if it would be a bad blizzard, if we could have a reservation for a date to do it at a later time.
Like the next week or?
Something. We chose the 14th because of Christmas being on Wednesday. Families are going to be gone either the 14th or the 20th, you know.
Right.
The time frame is making it hard to come up with a real date, but we're setting the 14th right now. And I think it might be 10, 15 minutes is all. It's not going to be 4th of July fireworks, just give attention.
So what part of town are you gonna set them off? I gotta ask.
All I know is they're going to be shot to the sky. Where in town, I don't know.
Because that as a councilman, I do get some gripes about people with dogs and stuff that, like, you know, like, if you're gonna do it at the park would be better, or the end of Main Street, or
I would guess Main Street, but we haven't decided yet.
close down Main and do it right in the middle of Main Street.
Yeah,
Now you can do it. in front
fire
of
department would be there.
Fire station, ambulance, I think you can do it in front of there, because I know I talked to Kathy a little bit about this, and the fireworks size that they are planning on doing, don't need any special permits or anything like that from the state or nothing, so it's just a normal,
Yeah.
fireworks that you buy out of fireworks stand locally here, so.
We got them through Harley
Yeah.
at 4th of July sale that
So
she
there's
had.
no state requirement for any special permit for big fireworks, so they can be shot off anywhere.
Any other questions?
Sounds like a good idea to me, I don't know.
Yeah, I've heard some of the plans that you guys have been working on, and it sounds like something really cool to bring to the town.
And if you'll do that every year and the weather's that good that day, that's like perfect. We'll just
Th-
plan on
This
doing
is
it.
a list of stuff we're planning for October, November, and December, right there. Trying to bring things back to Ainsworth that we are missing, and a lot of it is all geared around family. We're meeting tomorrow night at 5:30 if you want another meeting.
You guys plan to do the races again this year?
We are working on the bed races. We're waiting till next Monday for a group to tell us if they're dissolving or if they're staying. And if they don't do it, I think the firemen are. So we got a backup plan there too.
So we don't know exact times, dates necessarily. Can we approve this in concept and with the specifics to be determined, or?
I would say you could approve it based off of the information you gave, but like with a contingency.
I can give you the times. We're planning the parade around 6 o'clock with the fireworks to follow and hoping to start the Sand Hill Search at 7.
How about we just give them that time, any Sunday in December? Does that do you?
And a backup date if it doesn't work.
See, I
The
was-
14th
I'm
we're
looking-
planning.
I'm looking at the statute, or our ordinance right now to see if we could put it in there. I guess this says here recommended by the fire chief, or selected, revoked by the city council, weather condition permitting, so. Maybe whatever, get the dates or something, but yeah, we probably approve something today and I would want.
Or you know you're gonna land on those two Sundays, because you're gonna do the 14th and the 21st?
I can confirm it tomorrow night, but the 14th for sure is our date right now, unless we have a blizzard.
And do you want the next Sunday as a backup?
So that'd be the 21st. I don't know if we'd have much of a crowd with Christmas, the 24th.
Well, let's just approve the 14th and we can, yeah, we
Special council.
can have a contingency,
Unless you wanted to do it for.
a weather, with a weather date.
I think so.
You just do
Let's
December.
Yeah.
And not have to pick the day, can we do that?
Think anybody's gonna,
One day
Yeah, one day in December,
Yeah.
just do a blanket for December.
but if you do it January 2nd, we're gonna come home.
We can do New Year's Eve.
They can already do it December
they-
31st.
That's true, yeah, you don't even need our approval to do it on New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
So I
True.
move that we give a special fireworks permit to the, what's the group?
Ainsworth Commercial Club.
Ainsworth Commercial Club to do a short fireworks display during the month of December.
One day.
One day. Oh, I don't know. I'd go for it several times. It's not for me.
That's a motion.
Second.
Motion and a second, everybody understand? Any other discussion? Voting call vote.
Brad,
Yes.
Kent,
Yes.
Leslie,
Yes.
Heather,
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion carries
Thank you.
unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you to your club for doing stuff like that.
We're having fun doing it. Come join us.
I'll come help us start fireworks off, but I'm not pushing it.
You're right.
Yeah, you could.
Yeah, we need riders.
I'm too big. You need a light.
Nonsense.
All right, next item on the agenda is to discuss and consider membership with the North Central RC&D. I got a call on this, and I guess for whatever reason, Ainsworth and Brown County, even though the RC&D covers 6 counties, Cherry County, Brown, Rock, Holt, and Boyd and Kippawa. And everybody is eligible for membership. Lisa doesn't know, I don't know. I used to be the coordinator for the RC&D, one of my former lives. But for whatever reason, Ainsworth and Brown County haven't been members recently, and it was requested that we become members. Right now, they're doing a lot of recycling projects, paper shredding. They go right through Ainsworth, they can stop here, we can be part of it. Membership is $100 a year. The county, my understanding is the county's talked to them and they said, hey, we should be part of this too. And so I think in the interest of just being a team player, we should consider for $100 being members of the North Central RC&D.
I know they had really good response to they had a tire recycling event in Cherry County, and I think it was full up before the day was even half over.
Is that maybe one of
Electronics
the,
recycling.
that was maybe one of the reasons why we're not having it in Ainsworth, that it's been in Bassett or been in Valentine, not in Ainsworth?
Well,
How does that work?
We've done our own.
Yeah,
Ainsworth's done our own.
okay,
last-
that's,
I mean, we were kind of trying to do them every other year. We just wrote our own, basically.
Okay.
They're not hard to write. You just have to come up with the estimates and get the companies involved in it.
I just wonder why why we were having, so that's why.
But yeah, we haven't done one. I don't know when the last time we did one. It's probably 2 years ago.
And that one filled up pretty quick
Yes,
too.
I think we had
Yeah.
more than what we could actually take.
And I had a business ask me, and it's been months ago, I neglect to forget, it's a deal for paper shredding too, they could get some deals, get some money in here.
Yeah, they,
Well, and she
If-
said
if you're a
that,
member.
October
helps.
20th, they're gonna have a
this
thing.
must be Carla, or?
I am. Do you mind if I visit or
Sure,
talk
yeah.
for just a moment?
Come on up.
So, not to interrupt your discussion, but maybe I can just share our perspective. I'm Carla Stegmeyer, I'm the executive director of the RC&D. And so thank you for bringing this onto the agenda. And so Joel, you kind of gave them an overview of the RC&D and what we do. Main projects are recycle focused, and so the tire amnesty that like this year we had in Valentine, I know there were a lot of Ainsworth residents, 75 county people that took, part in that, and that's great, but they said, why can't we have one in Ainsworth? And it's like, well, we need, to serve our members, and so, and same with the paper shredding, and I visited with Lisa, we're setting up, we have one paper shredding route scheduled, we have another one, and we'd love to have the truck stop here, and, I think it's as much of a membership, it's probably more just a service that you guys, for $100, can give to your residents.
And can
So
I ask, when you shred that, does that get recycled?
it does.
Yeah,
And
because
it-
otherwise, businesses are shredding and throwing it in the dumpster.
Yeah, and so that saves, I know, tipping fees, just those things, and it gets shredded on site, so it is secure for people that they, see it get shredded. It's not like they put it in a dumpster and wait for a shredding truck to come. And another thing that we do is recycling guides. We provide these. Recently, it's a working document, so it's actually on our website, which we just started a website here. I just started as executive director about a year ago, and since then we've got a website going. So if you guys have anything as a member group that you want to share, a resource or something going on that is an option that you guys are, we welcome that to work together. So, what we're working on maybe trying to get a hazardous waste and electronics recycling, but just some different things that I think that it would be great, history, whatever, that we kind of broken apart as members. I think that we can work together and kind of do so many things for the people of Ainsworth. So, do you guys have any questions or anything that?
Should've got to them before they just passed their budget, now they're gonna have to amend it.
Organic matter in your yard.
And if for some reason, we have meetings once a month, and, you know, as a member, you can have somebody from the board come and attend those meetings as you want, or some representative, if there's someone from the community that, you know, has a special interest in recycling or the community, you can send a representative to those meetings and, you know, have a voice and share ideas of what we can do together.
So you did say you're working on something for computers?
That we're starting to, that's a harder thing to do.
I'm sure it is.
There's option, there's not a great market for electronics, and the struggle with this part of the state is transportation. So there's grants for those things, but sometimes they forget that transportation is not part of the grant, and for our area, the transportation is a bigger factor than the actual recycling charge. But we're trying to get something figured out, because I know it's a highly requested service that we bring, and so we're trying to figure something out.
Yeah, we did a couple of those when I was involved, one in Boyd County and one in Bassett. A lot of stuff to popular.
I know lithium batteries is another thing that, trying to figure out some more easily acceptable ways for people to get rid of lithium batteries. That's getting to be a huge concern. So those are things that hopefully we can bring education and things to the area.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody care to make a motion that we join?
I make a motion that Ainsworth become a member of the North Central RC&D at $100 cost.
Also, yeah.
Motion and second, any other discussion? Call the roll.
Brad,
Yes.
Kent,
Yes.
Weston,
Yes.
Heather.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously. Next on the agenda, we got Jim Pigney. Terry requested to be on the agenda. Jim?
Appreciate you guys giving me the time. Won't take too much of your time, but I wanted to, I guess I'll explain the story real quick. I started, my valuation change came out this summer, and wow, I was astonished by it. So I went to, up to the assessor, and I protested it, and I went to their meeting, and they said that I needed to come to you. Okay, what they've actually done up there, we're talking about Husker Meats, okay, that I have no problem at all with the valuation of the building. And I can let you guys look through this, whatever you want to do. But it actually went up with $3,000. Now, the land around the building, they tried to make that thing commercial. And it went up from $45,000 to $119,000 in 1 year. Okay? So, that makes my acreage, if I want to sell that thing, valued at $90,000 an acre. That's crazy. Okay. So anyway, when I went to the commissioners and talked to them, they said, our hands are tied, we can't do anything. That you have to go to the city, because they have jurisdiction in the city and outside the city for a mile's length. So that's kind of what they, they said. So I wanted to come to you folks and talk to you and see. I've since then contacted Senator Storr, and she's really uptight about it. She sent me out I got all kinds of paperwork here that you read. But what I'm gaining out of this thing is I also own 760, that's right north of there, and that tax went down. So what they've tried to do is come off of an acreage and go into a city commercial thing, which, you know, taxed me commercial, which it's not really commercial. It's just empty land that sits there. Bruce Dennett, neighbor of mine to the south, same way, he went way up. It doesn't make sense. You go over to Daniels, she went way down. So I've researched all that type of thing. I don't know where you guys can help me, but I think, you know, if we could rezone or do something different, maybe put the house with the land and call it an acreage. I don't know where we can go there, but I can't really, you know, and I'm probably gonna have to go back to them. It's called a 456 application that we would have to fill out and make, and then to be able to do something like that. So I guess I wanted to get your ideas, get your opinion, what your feeling was. But it's, you know, and in all honesty, somewhere somebody has got to, and this is what Tiny Store's really on, she said, where's their comparables? Do you have a comparable? Why did they give you this tax? What's the comparable they compared to? And there is none that I know of. So this came out of a state deal down in Lincoln, and I think our assessor kind of grabbed figures out of that and just, you know, kind of went for it. She's not thinking about Ainsworth, Nebraska, or, you know, what the values are here. So as far as other properties sitting around it, there's none. She hasn't. You know, I don't think anybody's assessed it. So anyway, get your opinion on it, where we can go.
I got a question, Jim.
Sure.
First of all, you were told, we never do property tax protests.
Yeah,
That's-
I realize that.
That's always through the county, even though, like my house, if I didn't agree, I wouldn't bring it here, would I?
I think he's talking about zoning, sending it from commercial to residential.
Right, I get that part of it, but I
That's
just
the only
wanted to
thing
make
you guys
sure
can
that.
do.
it was-
You guys don't do that.
We don't
But
do
they
anything
told
with
me,
assessments.
yeah, they told me I have to come here because it's in the city. And you have the jurisdiction outside of the city a mile away, and they can't touch it. So I think and that's been a long time ago, and I've missed a couple of your meetings. I've tried to get here and different things happen, but it's kind of getting, you know, cobwebs on it. But, you know, that was their big thing, is that, you know, you have to go to the city and get them to help you. We can't help you.
Maybe Jim, you can clarify for me too. Peggy had called me and talked to me about it a little bit.
Mhm.
And I'm not sure I understand it completely either, but the way that I guess and maybe I misinterpreted the conversation I had with her, but I was under the presumption that maybe you had been assessed on acres prior,
Mhm.
and because you're in the corporate boundaries of Ainsworth, I don't know if it was an oversight or something.
Well, they
what,
changed all
But they
that, yes.
changed it to square footage, because that's the standard assessment value apparently within the city corporate boundaries. And once you get outside the corporate boundaries, maybe it goes to an assessed value of acres. And that because of that change, that's what actually increased the taxable
That's what
value.
she's saying. But, now, we can say that, but right up next to it is 760. And I can show you the paperwork right here, right now.
I gotta interrupt you, lost me. What's 760?
That's the other property I own right north.
But it's outside the city limits.
Nope, they just connect. You can't go up there and pull them apart. There's no
Oh,
fence
it's this
between.
side of the canal. Okay,
Yep.
I'm looking on a map
Right.
here. Okay.
And then, what doesn't hold water to that either, is you go down, because I called down to Daniels, and I asked her, and hers went down.
Is she assessed square footage, on square footage
She, well, I don't think they did that. I don't think they assessed her square footage. See, it should be equal for everybody, it should be,
When it comes to those valuations, Jim, that's all the assessor.
yeah.
That's not us.
Okay.
I mean, I hear you, but it's
Right.
like, she's gonna set it, and if you don't agree with it, what it is per square foot, based off what your neighbors are, you do need to protest with them, right?
That's
I
what-
did.
that's
I
what-
went.
I know, but I mean, we don't have anything to do with
Yeah.
it.
I don't know how if there's anything that we can even do for you.
Yeah, because and when I looked at the zoning regulations in the city,
Mhm.
because I was kind of, I hadn't really thought about it until I talked to her, obviously, because we don't do that, I don't have knowledge of that.
Right, sure.
But in the zoning even, it's kind of consistent that way. In the AGR zone district, which is like the 1 mile, which is technically outside the corporate boundaries, it's all measured in acres, even in our code. But inside the corporate boundaries, all the other districts are measured in square footage. So even for a zoning change, I'm not sure how you get out of that.
Right, that was the next thing that I had written down here, is we could call you whatever zone you're in, but they're still gonna assess you by the square foot for your lot.
I think.
And I don't know if there's a difference in how they differentiate commercial
That would have to be.
zoned,
Right.
square footage
Are you in
based
commercial
on
zone now?
residential.
I'm not sure, I'm residential, I'm pretty sure. And I guess my question, if you guys could help me, what I'd really like to do to save everybody all the problem, or basically me, but take the 760 and just run it around the plant, other than my parking, where I park my customers, and make that an acreage, like it is right now. 760 is an acreage. So is there any way we could rezone that?
But I'm not sure, because if it's inside the corporate boundaries, it can't be an AGR. Because the whole definition of an AGR zone is that it's outside the corporate boundaries within the 1 mile. So like it wouldn't fit the definition of the zone.
So why is then Daniel's not, and why is my 760 not?
Can't speak to how they're
That's, again,
doing
Yeah.
that.
you gotta take that up with the assessor.
Okay?
Yeah,
So
sorry.
you guys have absolutely nothing to do, you can't zone it, you can't do anything. Who would zone that? I know,
Zoning we would have, I mean, we'd handle zoning, but as far as picking the tax levy, that's all signed. You know, she's got formulas and stuff, obviously guidelines that she's using. Yeah, that's not under our jurisdiction.
Would you be looking at
Mine went up too, Jim, I mean, it's not
well, they all
just
did.
your
And that's,
property.
everybody says that, they all went up.
Yeah,
But you've got us guys, I mean, you know, Bruce Dant and myself, Bruce Dant does nothing with that lot, parks rocks on it,
Right,
okay? And we went up 90,000 in 1 year,
yeah,
that's
I
success.
hear you.
would I don't know if a subdivision would change that,
Well,
as far
even
as
if
the
you
boundaries
wanted
of
to
the
change
other
it.
property you're talking about.
Well, that's what I'm saying, if it's inside the, I mean, if you were like partially out and partially in, like we have some properties that are kind of like that, where like maybe the house or whatever sits inside, but the back 40 or whatever sits outside. But if that's not the case
No,
with
it's
the
just
property,
together.
Now,
I'm not sure that,
I don't know how this goes, and maybe Greg, you know, but somebody, if you don't agree with the local ruling, can you not protest onto the state?
I think you can.
To Turk, I'm sure that window's probably closed for this year.
For this
Right.
year?
Yeah, I don't think you guys can do anything. The only
Well,
thing you
yeah.
can the only other thing you can look at, Jim, is a subdivision, and if that other property you've got is still being counted in acres instead of square footage for tax purposes,
It is.
maybe look at whatever piece you don't need for Husker meats. You're gonna have to hire a surveyor, but have that surveyed and come to them with a subdivision request to
Okay, I would come to you folks.
put you know what I mean, put the
But it'd still
empty
be-
parcel.
It'd still be out of our
No,
hands, you know, what.
you would handle the subdivision request is all, but no, nothing on the tax. But if he's got the other one that is getting taxed as an acreage, that could be beneficial to where it would include whatever extra portion you're not using. That's probably short of Turk board, that's probably your only hope is to,
But I have to say, for me personally, I'd be a little, if we start doing a subdivision for one, and then somebody else comes along that's under the same type of deal, I'd be a little wary, I don't wanna start precedent in doing that.
But there's guidelines in the city of Ainsworth for putting in the subdivision.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure it's a.
So you can't just slap in a subdivision in some areas, a lot of times you have to have, if you put in a subdivision, you have to put water, sewer, electric to the corner of each subdivision lot. I don't know if that's.
it would literally just be changing the
Not
dimensions of the
necessarily.
business compared to the property
It
next
just
to
has
it.
to meet the minimum requirements, you know, of like square footage or, you know.
That would be probably your only option, is to try to include whatever waste area or whatever that is that you're not using
Right.
with that
Well, that's
other
an idea,
property
I
as
don't know
opposed to,
what's right, but
as opposed to having it with the business property.
I know I'm gonna have a terrible time selling it with a valuation that high. If I ever wanna sell it.
Tell you, Jim, I mean, it just sounds like there's a lot of questions that we probably aren't gonna be able to get to the bottom to. It's gonna take more investigation, and we can do that. We can continue to look into it and understand if there's anything the city can do.
I'd appreciate
Then
it.
we could consider that. Right now, we don't even know what to do, so
Okay.
we're not gonna be able to take any action,
Sure.
right?
I would've thought your commissioners, if they gave a shit at all, would have looked at the situation and been like, okay, I understand, we're not gonna.
Oh, it's terrible. It's a terrible situation you're in. Exactly what I heard from. It's a terrible situation you're in, but we can't do anything. Well, and then basically, some way I gotta do something. And you guys can't do anything, so I don't know where I go, but, I guess I'll keep looking.
Well,
Jim, you might ask Peg if that's, before you would look at a surveyor to try to change that and take some of the square footage off of the Husker meat
Right.
lots.
I know where
You
it's
might
going.
ask Peg if that would make any difference before you
Yeah,
did
for
that.
crying out loud, don't do it.
Yeah.
She says, yeah, you can do it, but we still value it by X, Y, Z.
Yeah, that-
Then-
Yeah, because you'll have the cost of.
Of the
So you got the
survey
cost
to-
of
for
that
nothing,
survey,
yeah.
and all the-
But ask her if
all
you
that.
would take some of that ground, put it with the other property, if that would make a difference. That, I don't know any other way.
I don't know
Other than-
where they're coming up with all this.
It's crazy.
It's a crazy.
Well, they
stuff.
don't, and the thing is, they don't want to even touch it. They say, nope, that's the city's responsibility. They won't even touch it. So I guess I'm gonna go back to the next commissioners meeting and get on their agenda and express what you guys have told me, And which, when I read through Tanya's, all of her stuff here, it isn't your responsibility, But I wanted to come and just get some ideas, I guess.
Sure.
I guess
Where
did you-
going?
I mean, I guess it's all public record. You looked up the tax rate for your neighbors or other like
Sure.
properties, and
Sure.
is yours not at all close?
No,
In your opinion, I mean, but.
No, not at all
I'm saying
close.
the assessors.
there's none really out there. We're not around, we're not around close to anything. Everything,
There's
you
other
know.
commercial lots in town that have some
Right.
big space like that.
yeah, it's I don't know
I
where,
mean, you could
where the
do
comparison is.
CBA, Daniels, 2 or 3 locations, whatever, yeah, it's got a lot
I
of.
know Daniels is a lot less than mine,
Oh, I don't know, I can't.
so, and there's not that much difference, I mean,
I
both that
guess,
building.
I would just say, if you, in your investigations and ours, if there's something you figure out that the city can do to maybe make this more equitable, I'm sure the council will consider taking that
Sure.
action, but right now, we don't know what that is. So
Okay, well, that was, it was like,
keep
like
looking into it.
Tanya mentioned to me on the 456, it's a 456 application to be filed, which it was, that thing was June 30, so it'll be around again to June 30 to get it filed on what we, if we wanted to rezone or if we wanted to do something different like that. But that's the only thing I know, so. All right, well, appreciate it, thank you.
Thanks for coming in and
Yep.
explaining things to us. It's clear as mud. All right, moving on, consider request by the San Diego Care Center to submit a grant under the City of Ainsworth to our Nebraska Department of Transportation. I think this is fairly straightforward, their care center operates under the umbrella of the city and the county, and we would just be the sponsor for this grant. They're gonna do the work.
Tom didn't make it, but I'll speak to a little. We had a meeting this week. Tom has done some research. We had an opportunity to get, I think it's through the Nebraska Department of Transportation, yes.
Yeah.
We have when Deseret left us, remember we inherited the minibus that's got a wheelchair lift, which is great if you're taking people a lot, you're going some places, but they don't have a van that has a wheelchair lift. And that bus is a rough riding son of a gun, and a lot of times you have to take a resident to a medical appointment to Omaha or Lincoln, and if they're in a wheelchair, you're driving the bus all the way there. So this is a chance to get a grant to buy a van that's wheelchair accessible, and because the 2 entities that are part of it need your approval, so. Pretty good deal if you can get it.
Grant would cover 80%, I think is what
Is
they
that what he
said
said?
Monday.
Yeah, it's a pretty good chunk.
80% of the cost.
So we need a motion to
Probably authorize the mayor to sign it.
authorize me to sign, that's about, I think that's probably.
I'll make a motion to authorize the mayor to sign, submit an application for the Sand Hills Care Center, for the Department of Transportation grant.
Motion and a second, any other discussion? Call roll.
Kent,
Yes.
Justin,
Yes.
Heather,
Yes.
Brad,
Yep.
Motion carried unanimously. Next item is to consider a special designated liquor license for the Sand Hills Lounge for an event to be held here at the Ainsworth Conference Center on October 17th of 2025 from 3 to 11:59. And I think this is for an event sponsored by the Brown County Foundation.
Celebrating 30 years
Wow.
and an endowment fund that's around $2 million thanks to people's gifts over those 30 years. So invite any and all of you to come. We're going to tailgate because that's the night the Huskers will be playing. Well, we might run into an issue. I think the women are playing volleyball and the men are playing football that night. So we're going to have one TV, and I don't know if we're going to split screen it because there's people that want to see both.
One into the gym and one into the.
So yeah, I don't remember the time, but we'll set up in the afternoon, but it's in the evening, so free little donation.
So you have something to watch in Nebraska that you don't play.
Hey.
Pick me up.
They're not, everybody thinks they're impressive. but they're
Okay.
not impressive.
Well, then we'll switch it to volleyball.
Yeah.
So we didn't invite you, but yeah, that's what's going on.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
It's a Friday night football game.
It is. And Ainsworth is out of town that night for, I don't know where.
Welcome to Big Ten TV money. And
Yeah, they're.
college football on a high school Friday night.
Yeah,
So we can have Greg chattering over here somewhere on a speaker and a split screen like
There you
this. We'll have it
And
all.
I'll be at that game, so you can watch. me
You're going
on
to
the TV.
Minnesota?
Yeah.
We hope to see you in the stands. Not on the field, running.
Take your Nebraska license plate off your vehicle and put a jacket on over your red shirt
Is Minnesota?
when you come out of the stadium.
Oh, those Minnesota are nice, just like Nebraska.
Just like Colorado.
Oh.
They're nice, different. Anybody care to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the special designated liquor license for the Sand Hills Lounge for the event held in the Ainsworth Conference Center on October 17th from 3 p.m. to 11:59 p.m.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? Call roll.
Dustin,
Yes.
Heather,
Yes.
Brad,
Yep.
Kent.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
Put that in your calendar, Stan.
Next item is to discuss and consider nuisance properties. This is resolution number 2504, 187 North Elm Street. You guys took action on this last month, but it wasn't in the form of a resolution, and as Michael, our city attorney, was working through things, we want to make sure we're crossing all the T's and dotting all the I's and doing things properly, so he's requesting that you pass this as a resolution rather than just what was it, a motion? A motion last week. So that's what this one's about.
I move we approve resolution 25-04, declare 187 North Elm Street a nuisance property.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? Call the roll.
Dustin,
Yes.
Heather,
Yes.
Brad,
Yep.
Kent.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously. And we are on to our favorite item on the agenda. Because it's the last thing.
Last thing, okay.
No, because it's Lisa's report, our treasurer's report.
Just want to give a thanks to the school and the kids that came out and helped for Community Environment Day. We had a couple of groups that were out at the park and painting shelters and I think maybe some pipe fence, and there was a storage building at the cemetery that a group came out and kind of helped paint, so. That's always kind of nice, you know, when they come out and do some helpful things like that, so appreciate that. You know, August was very busy, but it's just kind of just a lot of the normal day-to-day stuff, nothing really crazy. Of course, most of it was budget related, just getting quotes, getting information, plugging in the numbers. We did the budget workshop, of course, on the 21st. I've been working with Michael, kind of back and forth, Michael Hobach, that is, with the budget documents. And of course, for September, it's the end of the fiscal year, so we're kind of winding things down, wrapping stuff up there. Otherwise, really nothing really stand out-ish, you know, kind of day-to-day stuff.
Government money show up?
What's that?
Any federal government money?
No, we're still absent $500,000.
I think the county got paid finally on all theirs with the exception of maybe their administrative costs, which was like 30 grand maybe that they were.
But like within the last month or within?
No, within the last year, probably within the last
I didn't
year.
even, you'll notice, I didn't even budget for it
Oh,
because I'm not
don't.
helpful.
It'll just be a nice surprise.
I dropped that off a
Merry
couple of
Christmas,
years ago.
everybody. We'll shoot off some fireworks. I'll buy them.
Ooh.
Don't forget to get a permit.
Yeah.
That's the efficiency part of the government efficiency stuff.
Oh, man.
6 years to close out
Yeah.
a FEMA project.
Well,
I mean,
and
it's
it's been-
insane.
Months that it's been in the final at FEMA, you know, that I keep saying, they say, well, it's just under the final review. All the paperwork's done, everything's done, so it's,
And you're still waiting on a grant for the pickleball?
yes.
Is that the deal?
That's correct.
When will we hear on that?
I'm not sure, I think Kristen had originally said maybe October.
I don't remember, I thought was the application due in September and then they'll award after that.
It's gonna take a little.
I don't even remember who was the funder on that application.
Was it Walter Scott?
You got your,
Yeah,
right,
Scott
you got your
Foundation.
foundation.
I did, and for the golf
Good golf course use there.
They haven't used it yet,
Got a 90% to Aces College,
Yes.
it still came out.
I've talked to Rob. They have some things.
So they call Walter Scott.
Top dresser. Anything, anybody else have anything for the good of the cause?
With 3 full ride on.
Hearing nothing, we're gonna adjourn the meeting at 6:17. Thanks, everybody.
The other 5 are between 31s and 34s, with the 3 full rides on 36 SEDs. And we had to take a class together in the first semester. A 1-hour credit class, but it was literally the Walter